Hello and welcome to Destination Timeshare live today on this Sunday. And I'm Jeremy, and today we're going to be talking about Maui wildfires, cancellations, and what you can actually do to perhaps save some of your points if you have a cancellation. I'd appreciate it though. First off, there's actually a poll at the top of the live chat wanting to know who out there has had a reservation canceled either voluntarily or even involuntarily because of the fires, the situation going on in West Maui. It's been a couple of weeks already. Very, very tragic, disappointing, and unfortunate. Really can't express enough how sad the situation is. Thoughts and prayers with everybody there who's both lost their homes, lost loved ones, and as well just having a hard time getting back into things, as obviously their whole world has changed with the fires there in Maui. I also like to ask, as we're starting out here, if you're live in the chat, definitely appreciate you joining today. And if you could, give this video a thumbs up. It will help push this video out to more people here live as well. And if you're watching on the replay, appreciate you stopping by. Also give it a thumbs up. It does definitely help out the video and helps out the channel. If you have any questions or comments today, put those in the live chat as well, and I'll be sure to read through those kind of as we go along, as I go through some information and material that I've kind of prepared to talk about the wildfires and the situation going on in Maui, and especially, and more specifically, what Marriott Vacation Club and Vistana, Westin Vacation Club, Sheraton Vacation Club are doing to kind of help out owners and get them to be able to potentially use their points and star options, even though they might, or in some cases, may not be restricted. So let's just pop into the chat here really quick and see who we have here today so far. We have Clara. Hi, hello, good morning, good afternoon, whatever it might be where you're at. And then good morning from Long Beach, California, from Martin Scott. Good morning, and good morning here too. We're actually in California at the moment. But let's take a look at some of the situations with regards to cancellations, the situation going on in Maui. Currently, kind of very evolving situation. Things are changing almost from day to day. So current information that we have is the governor has a proclamation that's indicating and requesting no non-essential travel to West Maui, that being primarily the Lahaina, Ka'anapali area, and then even further north, prior to at least October 17th. Non-essential travel there being strongly discouraged. I guess potentially somebody could still go, but they really don't want people trying to travel there at this time just due to recovery, search and rescue, and kind of what will be a long-term cleanup effort. Obviously, this isn't going to be something that is fixed overnight. Lahaina wasn't built in a day, and it won't rebuild itself anytime really quickly. It will be years, if not decades, before kind of the area is back to what will be kind of their new normal going forward. But Marriott Vacation Club and Vistana seem to be actively canceling reservations as they need to. So obviously, travel there is being discouraged, and the resorts are not really up to full operations. I believe even some of them might be housing workers who worked at the resort and may have lost their homes, so they need a place to live. It's just kind of a rumor I read about, but yeah, so they're not really operating, and they're actively canceling reservations. So you may have gotten a call, may have received an email, may have just gotten a notice, hey, your reservation's been canceled. So that's kind of what they're doing. You can obviously, if you don't feel comfortable traveling to Maui, West Maui in the near future, maybe you have a reservation coming up sometime through the end of the year, maybe even into the new year, well, you might want to even actively cancel that reservation, or proactively cancel that reservation, I should say. One other thing I should mention here is that Marriott Vacation Club, Westin, Vistana, Sheraton, kind of as expected, they're not very consistent with their policies on how they cancel reservations, specifically those that had reservations within 60 days of travel, because quite common if you have to cancel a reservation within 60 days of travel. If it's a weeks-based reservation, you really can't cancel it. Your only option in that case, if it's a deeded week and you've made a reservation at your home resort, your only option is really to deposit it in Interval International. I had to think there for a second. But if you have a points-based reservation, whether it be STAROPTIONs or Abound club points, well, then your options are, of course, to potentially get those back, but they will be restricted. So that's kind of just one of the unfortunate things about STAROPTION reservations, is that they would be restricted, and even Abound club points. So what they've been doing, some people have been able to call, cancel the reservation, and kind of get the, I actually heard this term yesterday on a radio show, where they call it customer service representative roulette. You call, you get one representative, they'll maybe actually cancel your reservation and give you back unrestricted points or unrestricted STAROPTIONs. Whereas if somebody else calls, get somebody else, absolutely a no. This seemed to happen kind of early on when really very little information was available. But what happened a little bit later, they kind of got a lot more consistent, and essentially to the point where any reservation canceled within 60 days of travel was getting restricted STAROPTIONs or Abound club points put into a holding account. The holding account being restricted to reservations only within 60 days. And if those points were for 2023 use year, well, what happens is those points are stuck and they'll now expire in or on December 31st, 2023. This is a tip I actually provide. I do provide it in my MVC Made Easy course. Big tip here that if you're making reservations for late in a use year, you're really better to borrow those points from a future use year, because when they cancel, they may still be restricted to a holding account or 60 days of travel, but they'll revert to the use year that they came from. So being late 2023, if somebody borrowed from 2024, when they borrow those points, if they had to cancel, well, now they would actually expire December 31st, 2024. So a big tip there. We'll just jump back in here into the chat. James Weber, good afternoon from Texas. James Weber, you'll notice his name, it looks like on my screen it's in green, but he has a little DT circle there beside him because he's a channel member. Channel members get some additional perks on Destination Timeshare. So James, definitely appreciate you being a channel member. Thank you very much. But according to, or let's see here, another way that you might be, if you have a reservation at one of the Maui resorts, whether it be Maui Ocean Club, Westin Ka'anapali Ocean Resort Villas, Ocean Resort Villas North, or even the Westin Nanea, well, you might be able to potentially get an accommodation certificate through Interval International. Heard at least one instance of this happening. And if you have a reservation through Interval International, maybe you've exchanged, or less likely, maybe you booked a getaway. Not very often there's getaways at those 4 properties, but contact them and they may be able to work with you. You can potentially retrade your exchange into something else down the road, or cancel it, get a cancellation replacement, or they might be able to offer some type of accommodation certificate, which is basically a certificate that's usually restricted, probably will not have the same value as Maui, and you probably won't be able to even book any of those Maui resorts with it, but it's an option to salvage something from those maintenance fees you paid to cover your vacation time. So you might be able to get some type of travel down the road, might be somewhere else, may not be Hawaii, may not even be Maui, so just something to consider. One other thing here is if you're executive or above, so within the Marriott Vacation Club, and now even Vistana with Abound, we have these owner benefit levels. You have select, you have executive, you have presidential, chairman's, and I think I missed one in there. There's owner right at the bottom, I guess, if I didn't say them already. But you can essentially, at least up until August 31st, if you're able to get back, cancel reservation and get back unrestricted points then you can bank those, or even star options, you can bank those potentially into the next year. Or if they're star options, currently you can bank those into the next 2 years. Presidential and chairman, I believe they even have later banking deadlines. So take that into consideration, that you can potentially, if you are more than 60 days out still, that means a reservation sometime after the middle of October, you can potentially cancel that. And maybe if you're not a select or an owner benefit level, well, you might be able to, or you should be able to, bank those into a future use year. So just something to consider. And before we kind of jump into the next section here, I'd like to ask, if you're new to the channel, it's first time stopping by, or maybe you're not already subscribed to Destination Timeshare here on YouTube, really appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button, most likely down below. And also, again, hit that thumbs up. Really does help out this channel, and I definitely do appreciate it. So let's talk about kind of what we need to do to plan for the future when it comes to travel. Really can't stress enough, because these companies, Marriott Vacation Club, Vistana, they're not going to be giving a whole lot of leeway moving forward. If anything, the past 3 years told us that there's only so much they can do that to essentially help owners and guests in situations like this. So these are not traditional hotels. These are timeshare and essentially deeded real estate ownerships. So you actually own something, and they really can't necessarily just, hey, everybody who has this problem, we're going to cancel. We're going to move it into next year and you're good to go. Because essentially what happens is next year you kind of end up in an oversold situation where everybody wants to use their points, everybody wants to use their weeks to travel, and there could potentially be more demand than there is supply, because being deeded ownership, there isn't going to be any more supply within the system. And essentially by just pushing those weeks and points forward, it increases kind of demand, and it impacts owners in the future. So we just need to consider that they're not going to provide as much leeway as they might have in the past. Those days, unfortunately, are kind of behind us. But we really need to, and can't stress enough, you're going to have to start considering purchasing travel insurance if you want to be covered in these types of situations. So Marriott Vacation Club and Vistana, they both offer travel insurance or travel protection plan through TravelX. It's actually reasonably priced. I believe it's $199 if you purchase it from them with cash, and it covers any trips utilizing your ownership, whether it be Westin, Sheraton, being Vistana, and or Marriott Vacation Club. $199 covers all that, up to 10 people. I believe up to 10 people at least. Maybe don't quote me on that. And there are, of course, other limits and caps out there. If you want more information on that, go out to the Vistana website, the Marriott Vacation Club website. I was actually able to pull up the full plan and program documentation. So that's stuff that you might not get until you actually purchase the plan. Well, you can see that ahead of time. Now, you can also, it's not necessarily a good value. You're better to use cash for this, but you can actually use, I believe it is, let's see, I have the information here. I believe it is 20,000 star options. You can use that to purchase the insurance. Or I thought it was, 300, nope, that's not it. 800 club points. So you can use 800 club points to purchase that insurance as well. Paying cash is a better deal, because 800 club points is probably worth a lot more than just $199. Like I said, it doesn't cover Interval International Getaways, but I do believe it covers exchanges. So as long as you're using one of your home ownerships, what you actually own, then you should be covered. But definitely check through all of that program documentation. Another choice, another choice or option here is just to self-insure. And this is what a lot of people are doing. They're ending up with restricted points that they may or may not be able to use. And they're kind of self-insuring. Essentially, if you can't use them, you lose them, and you lose the maintenance fees that are underlying those as well. We kind of do this. The timeshare maintenance fees are kind of sunk money. You're going to be paying it no matter what. It's not like a traditional trip where if you go or don't go, well, you pay it or you don't pay it. With timeshare, you're paying those fees no matter what. And you kind of got to consider what's the risk of having a cancellation. So you kind of look at that risk. Is it high? Is it low? If it's fairly low, well, maybe over time, you're better to just not pay for that insurance year after year after year. And then when you have a cancellation, you might be further ahead in the end. And actually, that's how insurance works, in that they have to make more money than they pay out. So the law of averages should say, hey, you're going to come out ahead by self-insuring. It's kind of like those extended warranties on electronics, maybe even on your car, or the extended warranties on all those people that call you up trying to trick you into buying an extended warranty on the phone. But anyway, that's kind of how insurance works. But now let's talk about how to possibly use star options and Abound club points that maybe you have a reservation, you have points that are now going to expire in 2023. They may or may not be restricted. Well, how can you possibly use those for reservations, other things? I've actually put a couple of links down in the description box for this video. It goes to two different documents, one for star options, and then the second one is for Abound club points. I like my cup. So what can you do? If you look at that chart, you'll notice that the it outlines the different types of points you have across the top and the different possibilities to use those points down the side. It gives you a red X or a green check mark if you can use it for that. So kind of details that. Let's jump back over here to the chat and see what's going on. Do you see, okay, so Tamil, I believe, sorry if I mispronounced your name. Do you see that Kauai will be harder reservation to book? Potentially, obviously, with those with those resorts potentially being closed for a period of time, people not wanting to travel to Maui or West Maui, that will put more demand potentially on other islands, whether it be Kauai, whether it be Oahu or the Big Island. Those are primarily the big four. So it will certainly put more demand on them and cause it to be harder to potentially book those other islands. I certainly see that as an issue, probably for at least the foreseeable future, a few years down the road. I see here, Clara, someone was able to exchange an accommodation certificate, so that's through Interval International, for Costa Rica. It just depends on timing and luck. Yes, I actually saw somebody posted what we call sightings with an accommodation certificate. They were able to see the Marriott Vacation Club in Costa Rica. It's supposed to be a fabulous property. We haven't been there. It's very hard to book. That could have possibly been a last minute cancellation. Quite often what happens is if somebody cancels last minute, then they cancel last minute. Interval tries to get rid of that week in any way that it can, so they will sometimes make it available via accommodation certificate. So let's see what else we have here. Are there any new Marriott properties being built soon? So the question on that is, I actually have another video on that. I'll put a link to it up here when this is on replay. So if you're watching this live, you're not going to see it up here. But there is a new resort being built or planning to be built in Charleston, South Carolina. Most likely be one of those kind of pulse type properties that the Marriott Vacation Club calls them. It's a fairly small property, mostly going to be hotel rooms. Marriott Vacation Club announced, I believe it was on their first quarter earnings call, that they had acquired the land in Charleston. It's actually in a pretty good location, kind of close to some horse stables, but that might be another thing. But yeah, so we should be seeing at some point down the road, I think probably 2025 or beyond, that property. They also have a Waikiki Pulse property on Oahu that they're currently, I believe, is under construction right now. They're doing some work on an existing structure. I believe going to be adding floors to the existing structure, so there will be a Pulse location in downtown Honolulu and Waikiki. So definitely something to look forward to. Might be a good place to spend a couple of nights in Hawaii, maybe a bigger trip to either Ko'olina or maybe even to Maui or even to one of the several, I believe there's 3 Marriott Vacation Club properties in Kauai, and there's 2 Vistana. You have the Westin Princeville, and then you have the the Sheraton Kauai Resort. So definitely possibilities there. So obviously lots of different options, but I don't really see them anytime in the near future building what I would really prefer to be a domestic kind of resort style property. I mean, obviously these Pulse properties in downtown urban centers, hey, they're great for some people, might be great for a lot of people, but they're not something that we would look to go to every year, year after year after year. We like those beach properties. We like the properties in Orlando, Palm Desert, those kind of grander resort style properties. You have lots of pools, lots of activities, things to do, places to go, things to see. And the resort is essentially where you could go and spend an entire week in and of itself. And really not even necessarily leave the property and still have a great time. I don't see that for any of these Pulse type properties. Obviously, when you have a Pulse type property, the destination is the reason you're going. So you're going to Waikiki because of Waikiki. You're not going to spend your entire week at the Waikiki Pulse. So I don't really see them building, unfortunately, any of those kind of new destination resorts. The last one was Costa Rica. They have a couple in Indonesia, I believe it is, Bali. But even some of those aren't really necessarily, I mean, I guess they are kind of resorts, but they're not necessarily even on the beach. So we'll see. I don't see it happening anytime soon, but I kind of just make these announcements kind of out of the blue all of a sudden. You don't really know one way or the other how it's going to, when it's going to happen. They might just announce one time, hey, we acquired this property, we're going to build this. They tend to be in this kind of asset light model where they're not really wanting to invest a lot. They're really more about just buying back what people don't want. So I want to get rid of my Grand Vista week. They'd happily take it for free and then convert it to points and sell those points to somebody else, which I'm not going to give away any of my weeks to them. So was there extensive damage to the Marriott properties in Maui? No, from what I understand, the damage from the fires was primarily limited to the Lahaina area in West Maui. The 3 properties are actually located several miles up the coastline at Ka'anapali Beach. So from what I understand, there was really no timeshare properties in that general vicinity. Several hotels, obviously, in Lahaina. A number of probably Airbnbs, VRBOs, or Verbos in the area as well. So just not aware of any specific damage to any of the resorts. Just right now there's nobody coming to them, so they're kind of empty because the only people that are there are people that are working, or maybe people that are staying there that have lost their homes. So definitely unfortunate, but it's just a really sad situation in Maui at the moment. So let's jump back over here. So possible ways to use your STAROPTION. I was kind of pointing out that chart that I put in the description box below. You can obviously find somewhere else to go with your points. Maybe if you had a trip planned to Hawaii, you could instead maybe find availability somewhere else. Now, availability is probably going to be a little tough now through the end of the year with points and with STAROPTIONs, and maybe even with Interval International. So it's going to be hard to find something, but you might be able to find something to make something work. Like was mentioned there, somebody got an accommodation certificate to Costa Rica, and hey, now instead of Hawaii, if that person was going to Hawaii, they're now going to Costa Rica. So there is that option. You might be able to convert, and this kind of just goes for the Abound Club points. Abound Club points have a lot more potential uses than STAROPTIONs do. You know, if you look at those two charts side by side, you'll see the difference, very stark difference in how you can use your STAROPTIONs. There's only a few options of ways to use kind of end of year canceled STAROPTIONs from a cancellation. But you might be able to convert them to air miles. You might be able to use them for car rental discounts. It's an option. You can book tours and packages. So through Colette, Marriott Vacation Club offers a number of different tours and packages. You usually do have to travel before the points expire. So you might be rerouting your trip from Hawaii to maybe Europe for a tour, or Africa for a safari, Asia for some type of tour over there. But that is definitely an option. Or you can book a cruise. I mean, cruises with points, none of these, excuse me, none of these options are really, really great uses of points. You're not going to get the value that you pay in maintenance fees out of these. Right now, maintenance fees are about 68 cents per point on the Marriott side for Abound Club points. Star options, it's all going to depend on what your week is, unless you own Flex, whether it be Sheraton Flex, Westin Flex, or Aventuras. So just something to consider. You're maybe only get 30, 25, 45 cents per point when you might be paying 75 cents per point. This is on the Abound Club points. Star options, it's going to be different. The only real option there is to use them for the travel insurance or for cruises. There really aren't too many other options. You can't, I should say, deposit star options into Interval International to make an exchange. You can deposit Abound Club points into Interval International, but realize and remember that you can't use those points to exchange into another Marriott Vacation Club or Westin Vacation Club property. Let's see, I think my camera turned off there for a minute, so I apologize. I had been about half an hour, and camera, for some reason, whatever reason, turned itself on after half an hour, so I had to turn it off and turn it back on. So just realize that if you're depositing Abound Club points into Interval International, well, you can't use those for Marriott Vacation Club or Vistana Resorts. Like I said, links to all these are down below. So let's jump back over to the chat here, see if we have anything else. Okay, so one of the questions here from Tamail, I apologize again if I'm mispronouncing your name. Who would you use to rent out time for my points? So if you're looking, maybe you're making a reservation with your points. If you have Abound Club points, you can actually potentially list those on a website called vacationpointexchange.com. Essentially, just rent the points direct, and if they're not restricted, you can transfer them to another owner. So you call up, you get that, whoever you're selling those points to, renting those points to, you get their membership number. You call up owner services, you say, hey, I want to do a transfer, and you transfer the points to that other owner. Whatever price you've agreed on is separate from Marriott Vacation Club. They don't need to know that any money necessarily changed hands. You say, I want to transfer, and they'll take care of it. That's vacationpointexchange.com. And then another option is to potentially make a reservation at your home resort, or potentially with Abound Club points. Realize, though, I did a video previously about some changes that Marriott Vacation Club is making with regards to Abound Club point reservations being rented out. They're saying, hey, rental of reservations made with Abound Club points is not permitted, although it happens quite a bit and is pretty prolific in places like redweek.com. So that's a website where you can make a reservation and then list it there. Redweek.com, they do have a fee as an owner to list, and there's also a membership fee per year to be a member of redweek.com. So you have that. You have gokoala.com as a place to also list, and then you also have the Timeshare Users Group, or Tug Marketplace. It's, I believe, tug2.net or tug2.com as well. So you can go out there, you can list, make reservation, and then potentially try and rent that out, find an owner, or find a guest who is looking to stay. So that's definitely, those are kind of the top 3 places that I think I would suggest. You can sometimes put them on eBay. There's obviously issues and stuff surrounding that. And some people successfully rent out on Craigslist, but that's sometimes a little sketchy. So those 3, redweek.com, go-koala.com, so -go-koala.com, and then the Tug Marketplace, tug2.com. So check those out as places where if you have a reservation, and then if you're just renting Abound club points, you can transfer those to another owner that's in Abound. Star options and home options, there's no method for transferring those between owners. So Sean here says, we were there and didn't make it back to the hotel after the fires. They're going to need to clean pool and grounds because of pumps being out and debris in the pools, e.g. birds and butterflies. Oh, okay, that makes sense, I guess, because a lot of West Maui was also without power. I believe power has since been restored, so, but like saying here, they're gonna have to clean the pools and the grounds, because obviously, maybe even from ash and stuff like that. I don't know if that got up that way or anything like that. But I mean, I'm sure there's probably been some rain since then to kind of wash some of that off. But definitely dead birds and dead butterflies too, it looks like. So unfortunately, it's the extent of the fires aren't necessarily just limited to just Maui. So thank you very much for that, Sean. Appreciate that information. Hadn't really honestly considered that or even thought of that as an issue, especially dead birds. I mean, I guess they probably inhaled a lot of smoke and they didn't make it either. Okay. Let me jump back over here. So I guess just we're coming up on just a little over half an hour. I was going to try to keep this to about a half an hour, maybe a little bit more. So definitely appreciate everybody who joined today. Definitely appreciate the conversation in the chat. And definitely appreciate everybody who is a channel member, as well as everybody who joined today. And if you're subscribed, definitely appreciate it. If you're not, please do subscribe. Also, give this video a thumbs up. And this cup you see me drink out of, it has a Destination Timeshare sticker on it. There is a link in the description if you're interested in purchasing any stickers. We also have cruising stickers as well. And so check that out. There's even a coupon code right now to save 10%. Just by watching Destination Timeshare on YouTube. So definitely appreciate that. And let's see what else we got. Make sure I'm not missing anything here. I am actually missing something. So something I wanted to just touch on a little bit here, because I'm actually gonna have a future video down the road about this. And that is an upcoming video about rising maintenance fees. What it seems is the maintenance fee bills for the trusts being Sheraton Flex, Westin Flex, and Westin Aventuras, and proposed budgets, and even an alternate budget for Abound club points or trust points has come out. And let's just say the increases seem to be rather shocking. It's kind of the times we're living in, increases in insurance, increases in obviously inflation, all leading to the cost of our timeshare ownership getting more and more expensive. So I will have a future video, hopefully coming up a little bit later this week, talking about my thoughts on that. What can we do? What can't we do? And is timesharing still sustainable in the future with those increases? When that video is available, I'll put a link to it up here. So if you're watching on replay, you can check that out. That link will be up there. And I'm actually going to put a link to a playlist, which way, over here, for if you're interested in more about Abound. I have a playlist of several videos about Abound by Marriott Vacations, and you can check that out there. We're also going to have an upcoming video here, an upcoming information here about a 10,000 subscriber giveaway. We'll have a little bit more information on that. Nothing grand, nothing extravagant, but quickly approaching 10,000 subscribers on Destination Timeshare. So don't forget, check out this playlist here about Abound. Thanks for watching. And remember, until next time, the best destination is always a timeshare.